Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your host Muhammad Jafal and welcome back to the Heart of the Fight podcast. This is episode 3 where we are going to be diving into training like a fighter. So let's start off, how do I say this? By actually talking about what training like a fighter actually means. So we're gonna be talking about like how do you train for a fight, for how like you're gonna train for your amateur fight or your professional fight, for like we say boxing or Muay Thai or MMA, and all of those other combat sports. So also there is a misconception that people believe fighters they train hard when they feel like it, but that is a truth. That's a lie. Sorry, that's a lie because fighters and combat athletes they are forced to train hard even when they don't feel like it because even though they don't want to, they need to so that they can actually improve their outcomes of winning a fight or a match that they might have coming up. So like don't fall under the misconception that us fighters we train hard only when we feel like it. No, we push ourselves to train hard every day and we force ourselves to train hard every day so that we can keep performing at a high level and keep our performance at a high standard. You get what I mean? So this episode we're going to be breaking down like a real routine of and how to train like a fighter, how to rest, recover, eat, all of those and all of the above. And we're going to be talking about covering the mindset. So I want to talk first about my training schedule as a amateur fighter who's been doing boxing for 2 years and running. So first off, I try and train 6 days a week, followed with 2 days of conditioning. So it's essentially the training is from Sunday to Friday, and not all of those days are just solid training. It's some days are varied. Okay, so we have Sunday and Tuesday. Those are regular training days of boxing, but they are also accompanied by strength and conditioning. So like Sunday, I do the everyday boxing training, and on top of that I do some strength and conditioning to build some explosiveness and core strength. Okay, then we have the second SNC session, which is on Tuesday. That is focused on the explosiveness and the cardio for the fight. So you can see how there are 2 days dedicated, one to the actual muscle part of fighting, and one to the explosiveness and conditioning, the stamina conditioning that you truly need to perform at that level. And on Wednesday and Friday is the sparring. Okay, so and Wednesday and Friday I try to still like train and then spar if I can. So like I try to do my regular training then spar, or I can spar and then I do my training, like so I'm able to spar while not also losing out on the training. Okay, so and it's actually varies. It's not like it's fixed. No, it's sometimes different. I mean, like depending on circumstances, maybe you're tight on time, so you need to shorten your boxing workout and all that. But no, also we have some other essential stuff such as pads. So like pads. Okay, so the pads essentially is like fighters they use that is what they do. They get a coach to hold pads for them where they go through drills and they essentially drill combinations that they might use in a fight. Now pad work is important because how do I say this? It essentially can help build muscle memory for a certain combination that you may want to use during a fight. So like for example, what a fighter could do sometimes. Professional fighters, when they go against their opponents, even amateurs, some do. They like to study their opponents. They like to study some repeated behaviors that they do during their fights. They like to study the essential style that they follow, any repeated punches or combinations that they throw throughout the course of the entire fight, and they sometimes train to be able to fight against it. Okay, so that they don't fall and lose to it. So like they try to counter it. They try to get around it. Okay. Like for example, if how do I say this? If two professional boxers are fighting, and one of them, how do I say this? They square up when they want to adjust after throwing a combo, or they throw a lazy jab after throwing a combination. What an athlete could do is they could practice the blocking so that they could keep on blocking for when the combination is coming to them. Then they can have the coach throw that lazy jab that the other boxer is essentially going to throw in the fight, and then they can throw a hook and counter. So like you can see how also pad work plays an important role, because essentially you have the coach to push you, which can give you essential and additional training for your stamina, and which can help you drill certain stuff that your opponent may do, and which can help you build some muscle memory for any combos that you may want to do during the fight. And conditioning. So the conditioning for Sunday, we're going to be talking to conditioning now. The conditioning for Sunday on my end, I essentially have 2 blocks, four exercises each. So actually, let me pull it up really quick because I don't have it like fully memorized. Okay, so it's essentially strength and explosive power. We have the main strength block, which consists of trap bar deadlift, bench press or explosive push-ups, Bulgarian split squats, and pull-ups or inverted rows. So essentially for the trap bar deadlift and the bench press, I do it 4 times 5 and 4 times 6, because we put heavy weight so that essentially we can build the explosiveness that fighters need, because we're relying to build strength, not to commit to hypertrophy, which will increase the size. No, we want to build the actual power that we're going to use during the fight. Okay. And for the trap bar, I essentially have a rest of 90 seconds to be able to properly let the muscle rest. And remind you, this is a day for purely strength building, not for cardio, because there's already a separate day allocated for that. And for bench press, it's 60 to 75 seconds, but sufficient rest as well. For Bulgarian split squats, it's 3 times 8 each leg. So like it's basically in a medium. So like you can put a moderate amount of weight that you can do a proper Bulgarian split squats in, because it's also a risky exercise and it's not that easy to do. And the rest time is 60 seconds. And pull-ups and inverted rows, it's 3 sets and 8 to 10 reps. For 45 to 60 seconds break, because this essentially is an exercise that will build the strength for your back, because fighters, they need that because they mostly use their back, and their back is extremely involved in fighting. And we finish off from the main strength block, and we have the explosive and core block, okay, which consists of dumbbell jump squats, medicine ball rotational slams, farmer carries, and weighted V-ups. The dumbbell jump squats, they consider 3 sets and 8 to 10 reps, 30 to 45 seconds rest. The medicine ball rotational slams, 3 times 14, 3 sets, 14 reps each side, 30 seconds rest. Farmer carries, which is essentially like where you carry heavy weights by your side and you try and practice walking for a set amount of time. It's 3 sets and each set for 30 seconds, 45 seconds rest. And the weighted V-ups, 3 sets times 12 to 15 reps for 30 seconds as well. So you can see how each exercise actually has a specific role in building your strength and your the strength needed for fight night. Okay. Tuesday we have the conditioning and fight endurance. Now the difference between the Sunday conditioning and the Tuesday conditioning is that the Sunday conditioning consists of straight sets, not a circuit. So like you do the exercise, you wait until you finish 3 sets, or like you do a set, you take a rest. You do another set, you take a rest. You do the last set, you take a rest, then you move on to the next exercise. The Tuesday conditioning, it's a circuit. So like you don't have rest in between the exercises, no. So like I have 5 exercises in the Tuesday conditioning, and it's a circuit. So like it's 4 to 5 rounds. I do all of the exercises first, then I take a break before doing another circuit. Okay. The Tuesday strength and conditioning consists of battle ropes for 30 seconds, dumbbell snatches or kettlebell swings, 10 reps each arm, burpee to jump and push up, which is 8 to 10 reps, medicine ball rotational throws, which is 12 each side, and assault bike intervals, where 30 seconds you go all out and 30 seconds easy pedal. You repeat this for 3 minutes. So basically it's 3 minutes of this. So like 1.5 minutes of going all out in total and 1.5 minutes of going easy pedal. Now, one thing I would like to say is that the assault bike is extremely important, because it's something essential that can help you build your the burst that you need for amateur fighting, okay? Because you're basically like easy pedaling, which can resemble like easy punching, And then when you go all out and you pedal a lot, that helps resemble the, how do I say this, the burst or combinations and the burst in the fight night that you're actually gonna do. 1 minute. Okay, so we went through that, and now we're gonna be talking about the running. So running is actually is something important, but what I learned is that amateur fighters, but both amateur fighters and pro fighters can incorporate running. That is if they do it efficiently. So let's really quick just define the difference. Pro is designed for endurance. The pro fighting, you need endurance to go all 12 rounds, which are 3 minutes each round. Amateur, you need to be able to burst lots of energy in a specific moment while not getting tired. So how this can incorporate into running is, what you can do is, in running, like, you can jog, for example, for 20 seconds, or no, for 15 seconds, and then just full on sprint at your max speed for like 30 or 15 seconds. So like there you have your normal steady pace, then you have the burst. Okay. And for professional fighters, what they would do is that they would just go on long, steady runs, where like they wouldn't try to go too hard at first or too low. They would find a medium in between that they can still run a specific pace at and complete a specific distance. That translates to the necessary endurance that fighters need on fight night. Okay, and these different sessions, all of these things, that they have different purposes for your fighter. And plus, depending on your goals, you train a specific way depending on your goals. Okay, you train hard if you really want to perform at a high level. And for like people who do boxing as a hobby, for example, they might train just at a way to get their body moving and get their body sweating. Okay, so and like, actually, one more thing is that these workouts, they're structured, they're not random. Like, you need, like, for example, pro boxers, they need someone to be able to manage these things and to be able to structure them properly so that they can perform at the highest level they possibly could. They can't just work out randomly, because that would not end well and would probably cause some problems. Now we're going to be moving on, like, how do I say this? Training when you don't feel like it. I covered this in the last episode, where I was like, discipline beats motivation. So like there were days where I felt tired and had conditioning. Okay, so like I still went and trained hard, because like that's one thing lots of fighters face, is that they are tired after, for example, work, because like lots of pro boxers, they still work early on in their career to be able to provide for themselves before they make big money. If they keep on moving through the ranks, they come back tired and they still go train, because it's essential for them and they need to, or else they can't keep on leveling up. So like that's important, because even if you are a fighter, you need to train even when you don't feel like it, and you need to train hard. And also there were days where school was heavy, because I'm a high school student, 11th grade. There were days that school was actually more tiring than others, like depending on what I did that day. Like, for example, if I had an exam and all of that. And one more thing is that there were days where actually I felt sore, like a day where I did conditioning. For example, the first time I incorporated Bulgarian split squat into my workout, my legs were extremely sore the next day. But what I did was, I still went running to the gym. I pushed through. It's like, the thing is, when I'm running, is that the leg muscles, they're moving. They're, in a way, they're jiggling. Okay, it's like jiggling, and that can cause pain if you have soreness. So like, but what I did was, I pushed through that to be able to run, because the thing is, if you get a sore muscle moving a bit, you can actually lessen the soreness for a select period of time, because that muscle will be stimulated. Then when you relax, the soreness will come back. Okay. So the thing is that you don't need to be perfect. Your workout do not need to be perfect. You just need to exert yourself properly throughout them. You don't need to have an extremely perfect, like, on point workout. No, you just need to have a sufficient workout that can help you reach a specific goal. That's it. Okay. And the key message that I'm actually trying to say is that consistency beats perfect workouts. You don't need to do 100% every single day, but you can try to. That's the beauty of training, is that you don't need to perform at the absolute highest. No, you just need to perform the best that you can do. You don't need to perform to another standard that may be out of your reach at a specific time. Okay. Now, this last part, we're going to be talking about how beginners can train like fighters. So one thing that I actually noticed is that there's lots of beginners. They start off their boxing. Sometimes they might train too much. Okay, because the thing is, so lots of beginners, they don't establish a baseline first of where their cardio, or essentially their boxing cardio is at. So they put themselves through hard training, and without establishing a baseline first, which causes them to be extremely tired. So one thing that can help beginners is that, like, first you can establish a baseline of like where is your stamina, where is your cardio at first, and then try and work up properly from there. Okay, but there are some people on the other hand, they just train hard from day one, and that could work out for them, but not for everyone. People, they have different ways of working out and different ways of actually improving themselves and adapting. Okay, some people may perform better if they train extremely hard from day one. Some people may perform well if they establish a proper baseline and work up from there. Okay. What else? So what beginners can do is that they don't need to focus on extremely fancy combos at first, so they don't need to focus on extremely sharp bag work. They can start simply, like what a beginner can do to help them level up a good amount is that they can do shadow boxing, skipping, push-ups, and basic runs. That can help them build a base, like the basic fundamental and cardio needed for boxing. Because at first, beginners, they will not have proper technique, so they want to build everything up from there before they can start leveling up properly in terms of their technique and fight IQ. And like what I would give to beginners as advice is that don't try to copy pro fighters immediately. There's a difference between beginners and the pros. The beginners, they're simply just starting out. They have not yet fought. They may have been training for just a couple of days or weeks. And when you take a look at the pro fighters, they've most likely been doing this for years. They've been training hard and consistently every day for years. So you can see how there's a huge gap in between the experience level and the cardio and all of that for a beginner and for a pro fighter. So like what a beginner should do is that they should train what's appropriate to their level first. They shouldn't try to copy pro fighters immediately, because how do I say this? Lots of beginners, if they train of level that's appropriate to their cardio, they can end up developing their own personal style for boxing instead of trying to copy a pro fighter and finding out that style may not work for them, or how that essential fighting style may not work. They can build their own simply by working properly from day one. Okay. So one thing beginners should actually do before trying to level up in their boxing is that they should build basic fundamentals. That's for every beginner. Like me, for example, before I started doing harder sessions and harder workouts, I needed to master the fundamentals, or like not such like master, but get the basics. Get the basics down before trying to go higher. Okay. Because you need to learn the proper technique before you can go all out. An example for on a bag, on sparring, on pads. Because lots of people, sometimes they slack off when they go all out and they feel like the fatigue building in and their technique falls apart and breaks. Okay, so you need to learn how to keep the technique sharp under fatigue, and how you can constantly keep a good technique and good fighting style. Okay. And lastly, we're going to be talking about how to avoid burnout. So we're going to be going into recovery for this one. So one thing that lots of fighters and beginners, they don't realize, pro fighters and amateurs, is that they think recovery is weakness. No, that is the complete opposite. Recovery is strength. Recovery is just as important as training, because if you do not recover, you will overtrain and you will lose more than you might see like you're gaining from training. You're gonna lose more than you gain. if you do not rest properly, if you do not recover properly, if you do not eat properly and get your macros in and whatever nutrients and minerals you need to fight and to keep training. If you are deficient in those, you will experience the downsides a lot more than the benefits. So simply all you need to do is, you don't need to, like, how do I say this, just extremely like relax or whatever. No, simple. For people who are training, for example, 6 days a week or 5 days a week, take simply 1 or 2 days of rest. That is it. Just take a day where you relax, you don't train, where you can fuel up and have some proper good food, healthy of course, that can help you fuel up for the week ahead. Okay, because that's the purpose of recovery. It's for you to relax and for you to be able to fuel up so you can keep on going for the next week. Okay, now like for example, people, beginners, they shouldn't try and train 6 days a week early on. That is if they don't have the goal of being a pro fighter. If they don't have the goal of being a pro fighter in the future, then they shouldn't try and train 6 days a week at first, because it's tiring and they will burn out. They should build a baseline of training every single day consistently. Sorry, not every single day, of training a good amount a week consistently, like maybe 4 days or 3 before bumping up to 6. Like build a baseline for your cardio before trying to go harder. Okay, simply get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. It's important for both the teens and adults. Okay, try to avoid stress, because that leads to you feeling a lot more tired throughout your day. And try to, how do I say this, stay hydrated. That's an important thing. And get your protein in. Fighters, get your protein in. Your protein is just as important as the other aspects of your fighting, because you need that protein to help you either maintain or build proper muscle that you may need for fighting and all of that. And eat healthy food. Okay, like one healthy food you could eat, for example, is chicken, some healthy meat, pasta. Lots of fighters might need is carbs. Carbs, they help you fuel up, and you use those carbs while you are fighting and working out, so that use those for energy and for running too. You need your proper nutrients and your carbs, because that's and a baseline for your, like, how do I say this? The carbs, they give you energy. You need carbs. Okay. Now, actually, like the sleep, and this is something that lots of people don't realize, is that the sleep and food, they matter more than you think. Sometimes they underestimate the importance of both of those things. They think that resting is for weak people, and that sleeping too much, or like sleeping a good amount, is essentially displays weakness, and food that they can just eat anything and they can still level up. That's wrong. You need your sleep to be able to function for both cognitively and physically. Okay, and you need to take your rest days, or else you will burn out and you will overtrain, which also leads to injury. See how recovery, so it's even a simple 1 day of resting can save you from potentially injuring yourself, from experiencing overtraining or burnout, and from potentially losing muscle mass. That's the beauty of taking just 1 day of rest a week. That is how much it can help you. And in terms of your food, like I said, eat healthy food, eat foods that help you fuel up, that don't make you feel bloated too much. Just foods that can give you energy and that can help you feel good for your workouts and for your fights. Okay, so in summary, training like a fighter, it's not about being extreme. It's about being consistent. Consistency, when it builds up, it leads to how do I say this? To a high level of performance. Okay, like you shouldn't focus too much on performing perfectly every single day. Just try, give your all. Even though it may not be perfect, give your all every single day, and you will lead yourself to higher and higher levels of training. Okay. Like I said, also, you need to be consistent. You need to be smart and disciplined when it comes to your training and recovery. If you know exactly what you are doing, and if it's structured, then you will get the results and benefits that you desire. Okay. And last thing, train with purpose, not just pressure. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in to the Heart of the Fight podcast. This was episode 3 where we went over training like a fighter. And it was nice to have you all on here again. And I cannot wait to see you all next time for episode 4. Muhannad Jafal signing out. Assalamu alaikum.